Lyra stood at the observation deck of the orbital shuttle, staring down at the vast sprawl of the Aurora Military Academy, which floated above the emerald blue planet of Virelia. She had traveled across half the galaxy to reach this place, leaving behind her small, quiet colony on Earth. Other recruits whispered in excited tones about the Academy's legendary instructors, dangerous training exercises, and its history of shaping the galaxy's finest warriors. But Lyra did not feel fear or doubt. She felt curious and ready. Around her, aliens of every imaginable shape and size moved with purpose. Some were tall and muscular, with shimmering scales and sharp claws. Others had multiple limbs, glowing eyes, or wings that fluttered softly in the artificial gravity. Humans like her were few, small, and physically weaker in comparison, and Lyra knew the other recruits were already judging her. That was fine. She had learned long ago that humans' greatest strength was not muscle, but intelligence, adaptability, and courage. The shuttle doors opened with a hiss, and a uniformed officer gestured for the newcomers to disembark. Lyra stepped forward with calm confidence, her boots clicking lightly against the metal floor. The officer's segmented alien eyes scanned her, but his expression remained neutral. "Welcome to Aurora Academy. All recruits will proceed to the orientation hall. Keep pace and do not fall behind." The hall was enormous, its ceiling stretching far above, filled with holographic displays of past graduates performing incredible feats. Lyra's eyes moved from one display to the next, absorbing the information with quiet fascination. She saw humans scaling walls with precision, piloting starships with skill, and outmaneuvering opponents much stronger than themselves. Her chest swelled with a mixture of pride and determination. A voice boomed across the hall. "Recruits, this is your first test. Observe and learn. Do not touch the equipment unless instructed." The voice belonged to Instructor Kalen, a tall, imposing figure with gray skin and piercing amber eyes. He had trained some of the galaxy's most famous soldiers, and his reputation for toughness was unmatched. Lyra positioned herself near the back, allowing her eyes to take in every detail. The first demonstration involved knife handling. Instructor Kalen's arms moved with fluid precision, throwing the blades into the air, catching them, and performing rapid, complex maneuvers. Other recruits gasped or flinched, unsure whether to follow or to stay frozen. Lyra studied his hands, the angle of the throw, the flick of the wrist. She noticed the slight shift in weight before each move. Humans had a saying, "Observe first, react second." Her mind calculated trajectories, timing, and patterns without panic. She understood that fear was a natural reaction, but careful observation turned fear into knowledge. Next, Kalen barked, selecting a recruit to try the exercise. The alien recruiter, six-armed species called Thylost, forward. Kalen tossed a knife, and the Thylo caught it in three of its hands. But one of the knives slipped, hitting the floor with a metallic clang. Other recruits murmured nervously. Lyra's turn would come soon. She felt no anxiety, only anticipation. Her family had trained her in martial arts, reflexes, and mental focus from a young age. Every challenge she faced now felt like an opportunity to prove that humans, though small and underestimated, could excel through intelligence, precision, courage. Kalen's sharp gaze fell on her. "Human, step forward." The room went silent. Whispers rippled across the hall. Most expected her to fail. Humans rarely matched the reflexes of other species at Aurora Academy. Many instructors had already written off humans as weaker, slower, and less capable in direct combat. Lyra walked forward slowly, deliberately, her posture relaxed. She ignored the murmurs. She ignored the intimidation. She only focused on the instructor and the knives in his hand. Kalen's expression shifted slightly, intrigued by her composure. He tossed a knife toward her without warning, a swift, precise arc meant to test reflexes. Time seemed to slow. Lyra's mind calculated the trajectory, the speed, the angle. Without looking, without flinching, she extended her hand. The knife landed perfectly in her palm. The metal felt cool and solid. The hall erupted in gasps. "Is class over?" Lyra asked calmly, her eyes meeting Kalen's. There was no fear, no hesitation, only quiet confidence. The words echoed in the hall like a statement of principle. Humans were underestimated, but not incapable. Kalen's brow furrowed, but a small smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. Interesting, he muttered. The other recruits stared, some in awe, some in disbelief. A few human students nearby whispered to each other, eyes wide. Lyra had just done what many thought impossible. After the demonstration, Kalan decided to give her an immediate informal challenge. "Human," he said, "follow me. You will observe advanced combat techniques for the rest of the day." The assignment was unusual. Instructors rarely singled out human recruits for special attention. Lyra followed silently, her mind alert and ready for every lesson. Throughout the day, she watched and learned. She absorbed strategies for close combat, evasive maneuvers, and teamwork. She asked questions, not to show off, but to understand deeper principles. Other recruits struggled with arrogance or overconfidence, relying on natural strength instead of observation and analysis. Lyra relied on neither fear nor predominantly focus. During lunch, she sat alone, quietly studying her notes and reviewing the morning's exercises. Some recruits approached her hesitantly. One, a small reptilian student named Slyn, asked, "Human, how did you catch that knife without even looking?" Lyra smiled gently. "Observation first. Reflex second. Fear doesn't help, but thinking clearly does," she added. "You'll see. Strength matters? Yes, but not as much as strategy." Slyn nodded slowly, clearly impressed. "Maybe humans aren't as weak as everyone says," Lyra shrugged. "We're underestimated, that's all. It's useful." The afternoon brought more challenges. Recruits trained in zero-gravity combat simulations, tactical puzzles, and endurance tests. Many humans struggled with the physical demands, but Lyra excelled through clever thinking and adaptability. She found ways to use her smaller size as an advantage, slipping through narrow spaces, avoiding attacks, and predicting opponents' moves. Each success built her confidence and drew attention from instructors. By the end of the day, Lyra stood on the observation deck once more, looking out at the stars. She felt a mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. The academy was brutal, yes, but it was also a place where humans could prove their worth. Every instinct, every calculation, every calm choice in the face of danger showed that humans had something unique to offer. Courage, ingenuity, and resilience. Kalen approached silently. "Human," he said, his tone measured. "You have talent. Do not waste it. Strength alone will not carry you through Aurora Academy." "But I see potential," Lyra nodded, holding the knife from earlier in her hand. "I understand, Instructor." He left without another word, and Lyra felt a quiet thrill. She had not only survived her first day, but had earned recognition in a place where humans were thought weak. For the first time in her life, she truly felt that she belonged, but because of her size, or strength, or species, but because of her mind, her courage, and her willingness to act decisively when others hesitated, as the orbital sun set behind the planet, bathing the academy in golden light. Lyra made a silent promise to herself. She would show the galaxy that humans were not to be underestimated, and she would start by mastering every challenge Aurora Academy threw her way. She tightened her grip on the knife, feeling its weight, feeling her own confidence. Tomorrow would be harder. Tomorrow would test her further, but she was ready. Humans always found a way to survive and thrive no matter the odds, and with that thought, Lyra walked toward the dormitory, blending in with other recruits but standing apart in the quiet fire burning inside her. A fire that would one day change how the galaxy saw humans forever. The next morning, Aurora Military Academy was alive with movement. Recruits hurried across the training grounds, their steps echoing on the metallic floors, their voices blending with the mechanical hum of hovering drones. Lyra walked calmly among them, her boots clicking lightly, her eyes alert and observant. She had slept little, thinking over every detail from the previous day's exercises. Humans were underestimated everywhere, but that made them dangerous. Quiet, clever, adaptable. Instructor Kalen appeared in the center of the courtyard, his tall frame casting a long shadow. The recruits froze immediately, sensing the intensity in his gaze. Today he began, his voice deep and commanding, "We begin your first true test. This is not a demonstration. This is not practice. This is the beginning of survival training." The words caused a ripple of tension. Other species glanced at each other with a mix of excitement and fear. Humans, smaller and less muscular, were already calculating their odds. Lyra, however, felt a thrill. This was her chance to prove herself not to anyone else but to herself. The recruits were led to a large simulation arena. It was an artificial landscape that mimicked a hostile alien planet, jagged rocks, hidden crevices, and pools of luminescent liquid that burned if touched. Small hovering drones simulated environmental hazards, and holographic projections moved across the terrain to simulate enemy combatants. Kalen's voice cut through the hum of anticipation. "Your task is simple. Reach the center of the arena. But beware, the arena will challenge your speed, your reflexes, your strategy. Only those who think clearly will succeed. Others will fail." Lyra surveyed the arena carefully. The path seemed impossible for someone relying only on brute strength. Steep cliffs, moving obstacles, and sudden attacks would overwhelm anyone who did not plan ahead. She noticed the patterns of the drones, the timing of the holographic enemies, and even the way the lighting created shadows. Every detail mattered. The horn sounded, and the recruits surged forward. Many of the alien students relied on speed and strength. A towering Vexel recruit leaped over a wall, crushing a smaller human in the process. A multi-limbed Thylo grabbed supplies from others while moving quickly, confident that sheer ability would carry the day. Lyra, however, moved differently. She watched, paused, calculated, and then acted. She used narrow spaces to slip past faster recruits, avoided traps with careful timing, and used the terrain to shield herself from attacks. When a holographic enemy lunged, she sidestepped and redirected it into a trap she had noticed minutes before. Each move was deliberate, precise, and efficient. A sudden challenge arose, a gap too wide for her small legs to jump. Other recruits hesitated. Some panicked. Lyra scanned quickly, spotting a loose rock slab that could act as a temporary bridge. She nudged it into position, balanced carefully, and crossed the gap. A cheer rose from nearby humans who had been watching, their eyes wide with admiration. Instructor Kalen observed from the edge, his expression unreadable. The human moves carefully, deliberately. "Interesting," he muttered to himself. Other instructors whispered among themselves. Humans rarely displayed such foresight and quick problem-solving under pressure. Most relied on agility or strength, but Lyra combined observation, patience. In action, halfway through the arena, a more dangerous challenge awaited. A series of swinging blades descending from the ceiling, timed to test reflexes. Recruits who rushed without thought were cut off from the path, forced to restart or retreat. Many faltered, hesitating in panic. Lyra analyzed the motion, counted the timing, and moved with perfect precision. She avoided the blades entirely, advancing without injury. The other recruits stared, some openly in disbelief. "How is she doing that?" whispered a reptilian student named Slyn, who had attempted the challenge earlier. Lyra simply smiled. "Observation first. Action second," she said quietly. Then came the final challenge. A weapon test. Instructor Kalen had placed combat knives along a ledge, simulating enemy attacks. The recruits had to catch or deflect the knives while moving forward. Many froze, their reflexes too slow. One large alien recruit swung at a knife too late, losing balance and falling into a shallow pit below. Lyra's turn arrived. She stepped lightly, eyes scanning the knive's arcs. She moved without fear, her hands instinctively adjusting to the throws. She caught one, then another, redirecting a third into a safe landing zone. Her movements were smooth, confident, almost effortless. A murmur ran through the arena. Humans were small, yes, but this human was extraordinary. Instructor Kalen's eyes narrowed slightly, a flicker of respect appearing. She was proving something fundamental. Humans were not weaker. They were adaptable, clever, and fearless when necessary. Other recruits noticed too. Some alien students tried to block her path aggressively, hoping to rely on brute strength. Lyra anticipated each move, sidestepping, using their weight against them, and maintaining her calm. Within moments, she reached the center of the arena. She stopped, catching her breath lightly, her posture relaxed. Around her, other recruits were scattered, some bruised, some exhausted, some defeated. The arena had separated the prepared from the unprepared, and Lyra's calm intelligence had carried her through. Kalen stepped forward, clapping slowly. "Human," he said, his tone measured, "you have completed the test. Not with speed alone, not with strength alone, but with clarity of mind and precision of action. Few species demonstrate such qualities under pressure. You have potential? Remarkable potential." Lyra bowed lightly. "Thank you, Instructor." The other recruits stared, some in awe, others in frustration. Many had underestimated her, expecting a human to falter under the pressures they had seen. Now, the perception had shifted. Humans were small, yes, but dangerous in their own way. They were survivors, thinkers, and problem-solvers. The afternoon brought debriefing sessions. Kalen led the recruits through their mistakes and successes, pointing out tactical errors and areas for improvement. Lyra listened carefully, noting every suggestion, every correction, every observation. She did not argue, did not boast. She only absorbed knowledge and prepared for the next challenge. During the break, few of the alien recruits approached her cautiously. One said, "Human, your method. It works. We didn't expect it." Lyra smiled. "It's not about what you expect. It's about staying calm, watching carefully, and acting when necessary. Strength matters, but strategy matters more." The recruits exchanged glances. Some nodded, some frowned, but all were thinking differently now. A seed of respect had been planted. Later, Kalen pulled her aside privately. "Most humans rely on instincts and physical limits," he said quietly, "but you think, you plan, you adapt. That is why you succeeded today. Remember this lesson. The galaxy respects those who act with purpose, not just with power." Lyra nodded. "I understand, Instructor. I will remember." As she returned to her dormitory, Lyra reflected on the day's events. The academy was brutal, designed to push every recruit to their limits. Many would fail, some quickly, others slowly. But humans had a unique quality, the ability to survive, to adapt, to think under pressure. And she had demonstrated that quality today. Even among species stronger and faster than her, Lyra felt a quiet confidence. She knew that being underestimated was an advantage. Others assumed humans would falter, but she had shown that fearlessness, intelligence, and careful observation could overcome brute strength. That night, as the orbital lights of the Academy glimmered against the blackness of space, Lyra practiced quietly. She moved through combat drills, focusing on precision, timing, and reflexes. She imagined scenarios in which she could outthink opponents stronger than herself. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, more tests, and tougher opponents. But she was ready. Humans thrived in adversity. Humans survived because they could think, adapt, and act where others hesitated. And Lyra would prove that humans were not just survivors. They were formidable. As she settled into her bunk, holding the knife she had caught the day before, she whispered to herself, "Strength is important, but courage, wit, and patience. That is what makes us human, and I will show them all." The next morning, the sun of the Orbital Academy glinted off the metal walls, painting the courtyard in gold. Lyra stepped out of her dormitory, stretching her arms and legs. Today was different. Today, the instructors had promised a real-world simulation test, not just of reflexes, but of endurance, intelligence, and teamwork. The recruits gathered in the main hall, buzzing with anticipation. Holographic maps of a strange alien planet flickered across the walls. Jagged mountains, dense forests of luminous plants, and deep ravines filled the display. Instructor Kalen's voice rang through the hall. "You will land on Zerith Prime, a hostile planet. Your task? Traverse the terrain, retrieve the core data module, and return to the extraction point. You will face environmental hazards, unpredictable creatures, and each other. Teamwork will determine success. Individual mistakes can cost you your mission, or worse. The mention of or worse sent a shiver through many recruits. Even the aliens, physically stronger and faster than humans, looked tense. But Lyra's mind was already working. Survival depended not on strength alone, but on planning, observation, and adaptability, the qualities humans excelled in. The recruits were divided into teams of 4. Lyra found herself grouped with Slyn, the small reptilian student Thera, a 4-armed warrior with lightning reflexes, and Drex, a hulking Vexel with immense strength, but a tendency to act before thinking. The dynamic was awkward at first. Drex's sheer power often overshadowed careful planning, while Thara's rapid movements were impressive, but sometimes reckless. Lyra decided to take a quiet approach. She observed her teammates in the terrain carefully, formulating a strategy. "We need to move cautiously," she said softly, "but efficiently. Each step counts. Drex, your strength will help, but don't rush. Thera, your speed is our advantage. Slyn, watch our flanks. I'll guide the path." Drex grunted but nodded. Thera tilted her head, curious. Slyn hissed softly, but her eyes showed respect. Lyra's calm and clear instructions began to settle the team. Other groups surged ahead recklessly, and Lyra suspected that would soon become a disadvantage. The simulation began. Recruits were dropped onto the surface of Zereth Prime via sleek dropships. The air was thin, and the atmosphere slightly electric, making hair stand on end and lights flicker unpredictably. Strange plants glowed softly, casting eerie shadows on the jagged terrain. Lyra immediately assessed the environment. The terrain was treacherous, and the glowing plants might either guide their way or conceal danger. A river of luminescent liquid flowed nearby, warning her of potential hazards. The drones hovering overhead scanned the recruits, ready to simulate attacks or environmental challenges. Other teams rushed forward blindly. One group, relying purely on speed, fell into a concealed ravine and struggled to climb out. Another team triggered a trap of falling rocks and had to retreat. Lyra's team moved deliberately, choosing paths that avoided immediate danger and kept their footing secure. Soon, the first real challenge appeared, a creature the simulation called a viraling, small, quick, and aggressive. Other recruits panicked, some drawing their weapons too late, others fleeing blindly. Lyra's mind raced. She had learned the viraling's movement pattern from her observation and the holographic data. Thera, distract it from the left. Drex, ready the net. Slyn, flank it from behind. I'll guide the timing. Lyra's team executed the plan with precision. The creature lunged, but Thera's movement drew it toward the trap. Drex caught it in a net, and Slyn blocked its escape. Lyra's quick instructions and calm execution prevented the viraling from harming anyone. Other recruits watched in disbelief. Humans were small, yes, but Lyra's team had handled danger more efficiently than teams twice their size. Her calm, strategic thinking was proving that brains could outmatch brawn. The team pressed forward, reaching a dense forest of glowing plants. The light made navigation tricky. Shadows moved in unexpected ways, creating illusions. Drex's brute strength could not help here, nor Thara's speed. Lyra's observation skills became essential. She noticed subtle changes in the glow, slight shifts in the plant's position, even the patterns of faint footprints. "Follow me." "Step where I step," she instructed. Carefully, she led the team through a narrow path lined with traps and unstable ground. One misstep would have sent them sliding into a pool of luminescent liquid. The other recruits followed without hesitation. Midway through the forest, a sudden storm began, a simulated electrical storm, unpredictable and dangerous. The air crackled, and small branches fell around them. Other teams scattered, panicked by the lightning and falling debris. Lyra's team huddled together. "Stay low. Keep your heads down. Move when I say," Lyra instructed. She timed their movements perfectly, guiding them past falling branches, across slippery terrain, and under sudden surges of electrical energy. Every movement was calculated, and the team followed her lead. After the storm, the team emerged into a canyon. The data module they needed was visible atop a high plateau, guarded by automated drones simulating enemy defense. Many recruits tried to rush it and were quickly stopped. Lyra paused, analyzing the situation. The drone's timing is predictable. We can use the shadows to our advantage. Drex, we'll need your reach to grab the module. Thera, cover me if I trigger a drone. Slyn, create a distraction on the far side. Move on my signal. The plan unfolded flawlessly. Slyn darted along the canyon edge, drawing drone attention. Thera blocked one, attempting to swoop down, while Lyra climbed the rocks and grabbed the module using Drex's steady support. Within moments, they had retrieved the core and began their careful retreat. Other teams, relying purely on strength or speed, struggled to even reach the module. Lyra's team moved quickly and safely, showing once again that human intelligence and planning could surpass raw power. Finally, the extraction point appeared. The team sprinted toward it, but one last obstacle awaited, a narrow bridge suspended over a deep chasm. The bridge swayed dangerously, designed to test balance and nerves. Many recruits froze, unsure of how to cross safely. Lyra's team approached calmly, one at a time. Watch my steps. Keep your center of gravity low. Move slowly, but do not hesitate. Step by step, they crossed the bridge. Drex's strength helped stabilize the swaying. Thera's agility kept the team balanced, and Slyn's keen eyesight guided their path. Lyra led from the front, her mind calculating every move. When the last member crossed safely, a horn sounded. Mission complete. Instructor Kalen appeared via hologram, his expression unreadable. Impressive, he said simply. Many recruits failed. Some panicked. Others relied on strength alone. You, humans, succeeded because you think, you adapt, you lead. Few species display such qualities. Lyra felt a quiet satisfaction. It was not victory for glory, but for proof. Humans had intelligence, courage, and the ability to survive in environments designed to challenge even the strongest alien species. Back at the academy, the debriefing highlighted her team's performance. Instructors emphasized that raw power alone was rarely enough. Strategy, observation, and careful teamwork often decided the outcome. Lyra's calm, methodical approach became an example for other recruits. That night, as Lyra returned to her dormitory, she reflected on the day. The academy was rigorous, testing not just strength, but mind and spirit. She had shown that humans, though physically smaller, could overcome challenges with clarity, courage, and quick thinking. Holding the core module in her hands, she smiled. Tomorrow would bring more tests, more dangers, and more lessons, but she was ready. Humans had a special way of surviving, and she had already proven that she could lead, inspire, and adapt where others might fail. Lyra looked out of the window at the stars, her eyes bright with determination. The galaxy was vast, full of challenges and dangers. But humans had something other species underestimated: courage, wit, and an unbreakable spirit. She whispered to herself softly, "Strength matters, but intelligence wins battles. And humans, we always find a way." With that thought, she prepared for sleep, knowing that the next day would be even more challenging, even more dangerous. But she would face it as she had faced everything so far, with calm confidence, and the quiet fire of a human spirit that refused to be underestimated. The morning on Aurora Academy began quietly, but the calm was deceptive. Lyra had barely eaten breakfast when the emergency sirens blared. Red lights flashed across the training grounds, and loudspeakers echoed Instructor Kalen's sharp voice. "All recruits, report immediately to your assigned training zones. This is not a drill. Containment breach detected in Sector 12. Evacuation procedures may be necessary. Proceed with caution." Recruits rushed through the corridors, some panicking, others moving with tense efficiency. Lyra's heart beat faster, but she stayed calm. Panic was useless. Observing the situation and acting decisively was what mattered. She quickly located her team. Thera, Drex, and Slyn, who were gathering near the armory. "What's happening?" Thera asked, her forearms twitching nervously. "A containment breach," Lyra said. "Something dangerous is loose. We need to coordinate before moving." Drex growled. "I say we charge in and fix it." His instinct was to rely on strength, but Lyra shook her head. "No, we assess first. Charge without a plan will get us hurt." She scanned the area. "There are drones monitoring the situation. We can use their positions to guide our path. Slyn, can you scout ahead quietly?" Slyn nodded, moving silently with her small, agile frame. Moments later, she returned. "It's worse than I thought. A predator escaped containment. Fast, smart, likely dangerous to unprepared recruits." Lyra considered the options. Other teams were already rushing blindly into the sector, some calling for help, some disappearing behind doors and corners. Humans might be small, but she knew their greatest advantage was intelligence, quick thinking, careful observation, and teamwork. "We move together," she said. "Follow my lead. Strength isn't enough. We need strategy." The team entered Sector 12 cautiously. The air was thick with tension, and the lights flickered unpredictably. Strange sounds echoed down the corridors, loud, low growls and skittering claws. Lyra's eyes darted around, noting every shadow, every movement. Suddenly, a predator lunged from a darkened hallway. It was larger than any human, sleek and fast, with glowing eyes and razor-sharp claws. Many recruits froze in panic, screaming or retreating. Lyra's mind worked instantly. "Thera, distract it from the left. Drex, brace yourself to block it if it lunges. Slyn, flank from behind. I'll guide its path." The team moved in perfect coordination. Thera darted forward, using her speed to draw the predator's attention. Drex positioned himself to block any attack, using his size without overextending. Slyn slipped silently along the predator's flank. While Lyra calculated timing and angles, at the precise moment, the predator lunged and Lyra led it into a trap corridor, forcing it into a containment field they had noticed earlier. The team exhaled slowly. Their coordination had prevented injuries and minimized chaos. "Good," Lyra said quietly. "But it's not over. We need to secure the area and make sure it doesn't escape again." Other recruits were panicking nearby, some injured lightly, others trembling. Lyra moved to organize them. "Listen. Stay low. Follow me. Step carefully. We'll get everyone out safely, but only if we work as a team." Her calm authority drew attention. Many humans, previously underestimated, now took the lead. Even aliens hesitated, unsure if they could manage the situation as effectively. Lyra guided her team, then the other recruits through the sector. She pointed out hazards, avoided unstable corridors, and used her knowledge of the predator's behavior to plan safe routes. During the evacuation, another challenge arose. A side door led to a storage room where a minor chemical leak was detected. Most recruits ignored it, thinking the path too small and dangerous. Lyra assessed quickly. "We can use the crates to block the leak temporarily, then move quickly through." Drex pushed the heavier crates. "Thera, help guide them. Slyn, check the air." The team executed the plan efficiently. The leak was contained temporarily, and they moved on safely. Every action emphasized human ingenuity, using limited resources creatively and thinking ahead, even in crisis. Finally, the team reached the extraction point. The predator was still loose in some corridors, but other instructors and containment teams were arriving. Lyra ensured that the recruits were in safe positions, calmly directing everyone. She even noticed a small, injured alien recruit hiding under a pipe. "Come with me," she said softly. "We'll get you to safety." The recruit hesitated but trusted her. Step by step, Lyra guided them out, ignoring the predator's occasional growls echoing behind them. Once safely out, Instructor Kalen arrived, observing the aftermath. Other instructors noted that many recruits had panicked, some requiring assistance. But Lyra's team had not only survived, they had coordinated and saved others. Kalen's amber eyes met hers. "Human," he said, voice quiet but intense. "You acted decisively. You protected others while facing danger directly. Most species, even those stronger, would have panicked. You've shown courage and intelligence. This is the essence of what we train for." Lyra nodded. "I only did what needed to be done, Instructor. Panic solves nothing. Observation and action matter more." The debriefing emphasized the lesson. Strength could protect temporarily, but intelligence, calmness, and teamwork saved lives. Humans, often underestimated for their size and physical power, proved they could lead even in crises. That evening, back in the dormitory, Lyra sat quietly, replaying every moment of the day in her mind. The adrenaline had faded, leaving a calm clarity. She reflected on her own reactions, her team's performance, and the differences between species. Drex came over, grunting. I didn't think humans could handle that. We almost failed. Without your guidance," he trailed off, clearly impressed. Lyra smiled. "Strength is useful, Drex, but thinking matters more. Don't rely on just power. Observe, plan, and act together." Thera leaned back, crossing her forearms. "You were calm the whole time?" "It's strange, but impressive. Most of us panic. Humans. You think differently." Slyn, sitting nearby, nodded. "And it works. Humans might be small, but they survive. Maybe even better than the big ones sometimes." Lyra felt a quiet warmth. She had proved something important, not just to the instructors, but to her peers. Humans were underestimated, yes, but that was their advantage. No one expected them to lead, to think quickly under pressure, or to act decisively in life-and-death situations. The next day, instructors would continue with more conventional training. But Lyra knew the galaxy would always have unpredictable dangers. And humans, with courage, intelligence, and adaptability, could face them. She had shown that humans could survive, led, and inspire even among species stronger and faster than themselves. As she lay in her bunk, staring at the ceiling, Lyra whispered quietly, "Strength matters, but thinking wins battles. Humans, we find a way even when no one expects it." And in that quiet dormitory, the fire of human determination burned brighter than ever, ready for the challenges ahead. The morning sun bathed Aurora Military Academy in golden light. Today was not a normal training day. Whispers traveled across the halls as recruits gathered in the central courtyard. Instructor Kalen's voice boomed over the speakers. "Recruits gather for the final assessment of the cycle. Today we recognize not only skill, but leadership, intelligence, and courage. Some have exceeded expectations. Others have simply survived. Pay attention." Lyra's team assembled quietly. They had faced simulations, tests, and even a real containment breach. Other recruits who had underestimated humans from the beginning now glanced at her with a mixture of curiosity, awe, and respect. Lyra herself remained calm, focusing on the task ahead. She had learned long ago that confidence, not arrogance, gained trust and attention. The courtyard was set up for the final assessment, a combination of obstacle courses, strategy puzzles, and tactical combat scenarios. Each team would be evaluated individually and then as part of larger group exercises. First, Kalen said, obstacle navigation. Reach the platform at the far end using any route available. Hazards are real. Observers will note efficiency, strategy, and teamwork. Lyra's team approached the starting line. She examined the course, swinging bars, narrow bridges, uneven platforms, and simulated environmental hazards. Other teams charged forward aggressively, using sheer strength to climb, leap, and push through obstacles. Many stumbled, missing steps or triggering traps. Lyra moved deliberately, observing the rhythm of swinging bars, timing jumps, and guiding her teammates with quiet instructions. Step slowly, balance first. Thera, use your speed here. Drex held the platform steady for Slyn. Every move was precise. When a swinging bar threatened to knock them off, Lyra calculated the timing perfectly. Drex braced himself. Thera leaped with ease, and Slyn followed her guidance. In moments, they crossed the obstacle without mishap. Other teams struggled and fell behind, frustrated by their lack of planning. Next came a strategy puzzle. Teams were presented with holographic projections of an alien outpost and tasked with planning a route to retrieve data without triggering alarms. Most relied on brute force, attempting to bypass security with power or speed. Lyra studied the map carefully. Sensors detect movement, but there are shadows we can use. Paths closer to walls are safer. Wait for the rotating lasers to pause. Move only on timing. Her team executed her plan flawlessly. They avoided simulated traps, retrieved the data, and returned without triggering any alarms. Instructors whispered among themselves. Humans, they noted, consistently used observation, planning, and timing rather than relying on raw strength. Finally, the combat scenario. Drones simulated enemy soldiers attacking from multiple directions. Many recruits panicked, swinging weapons wildly or hiding behind obstacles. Lyra's team responded with coordinated movements. Thera flank left. Drex cover right. Slyn, observe patterns. I'll direct the center. The plan worked. Intercepted the drones efficiently, avoided damage, and completed the exercise. Even the instructors admitted silently that the team's success was due to more than skill. It was leadership, foresight, and calm under pressure. After the exercises, Kalen stepped forward. "Attention all recruits," he said. "Some have exceeded expectations. One human in particular has demonstrated qualities that even the most physically dominant species lack: intelligence, adaptability, courage, and leadership. These are not measured in strength alone. Lyra has shown that humans, though small, can excel beyond expectations." Lyra stepped forward as Kalen continued. "Lyra, your performance today and throughout the training cycle has been exceptional. You have not only survived, but you have led, inspired, and protected your peers. You are recognized as a top recruit in this academy, and your human qualities have proven their worth in every challenge we have presented." A hush fell over the courtyard. Other recruits who had doubted humans now looked at Lyra with genuine admiration. Some nodded in respect. Others, previously dismissive, looked thoughtful. Lyra's team gathered around her. "We couldn't have done it without you," Drex said quietly, a rare smile on his face. Lyra shook her head. "We did it together. Strength matters, yes, but teamwork and thinking matter more. We each contributed, that's why we succeeded," Thera added. "I didn't expect a human to plan so carefully and act so calmly." "I've learned something important today," Slyn nodded. "Humans survive because we think. That's the lesson." Kalen raised his hand, quieting the murmurs. "Let this day serve as a reminder. The galaxy often underestimates humans. We see them as small, weaker, fragile. But Lyra has proven that. Humans possess courage, intelligence, and adaptability unmatched by many stronger species. Remember this lesson? Underestimation is dangerous. Humans always find a way." Lyra felt a quiet warmth. I had not sought recognition, but it mattered. Recognition was proof not of pride, but that humans had something unique to offer. In a galaxy of towering warriors, rapid multi-limbed strategists, and powerful creatures, humans had survived, adapted, and excelled. The rest of the day was filled with celebrations and briefings. Instructors took note of her strategies, sharing her approach as an example for other recruits. Humans began to be seen differently, not just as weaklings, but as intelligent, courageous, and capable leaders. That evening, as the sun set behind the academy, Lyra walked through the courtyard, watching new recruits arrive. She thought of the lessons she had learned: observation first, action second. Intelligence over strength. A young human recruit approached timidly. "Are humans really that good?" the student asked quietly. Lyra smiled gently. "We are, but being human isn't about muscle. It's about thinking, adapting, and never giving up. That's what makes us strong. And one day, you'll see that for yourself." The young recruit nodded, eyes wide. Lyra felt a spark of hope. Humans might be small, but they had a fire inside, a determination that could change the galaxy. Later, in her dormitory, Lyra placed her training knife carefully on the table. She reflected on her journey from the first day when she caught a thrown knife without looking, to today when her human qualities had been recognized across the academy. Every challenge had tested her, but she had risen to meet it. She whispered quietly to herself, "Humans are underestimated. That is our advantage. Strength, speed, and size matter. But courage, intelligence, and adaptability win the day. We survive, we thrive, and we lead." Lyra lay down, watching the stars twinkle through the dormitory window. Tomorrow would bring more challenges, more training, and perhaps more dangerous scenarios. But she was ready. Humans were capable of more than the galaxy imagined. She would continue to prove it, not for fame, not for praise, but because it was who she was. And somewhere in the quiet hum of the academy, the fire of human determination burned brighter than ever, ready to face the universe, one challenge at a time. Lyra closed her eyes, feeling a sense of calm pride. The human spirit's maul, underestimated and relentless, had been shown to the galaxy. And this was only the beginning.